Yeah. What's up, everybody? Yeah, it's one of these nights. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. DJ Shadow and Run the Jewels. Nobody speak. Yeah. I missed last week, so I'm in a double hype mood today. You want to hear a good joke? Nobody speak. Nobody gets choked. Yeah. There you go. All right, welcome to the podcast. You know the name. I'm not going to say it. Streaming live over everything, blah, 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 blah. You know the routine. You know the routine. Oh, what? So, yeah, you know the routine. I got some articles I'm going to read. I just checked out the headlines, and I didn't read them. So, if they seem interesting, then I will. Let's get the chat. Let me see something. Doom, 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 doom. All right. What's going on with this? Get rid of the demo. I don't know what the hell that was. All right. Let me check something. All right, enough of that. Let's get this out of here. Let's go over here. Let's check this out over here like I always have to do, because when you're live, you have to check it. When you're live, you have to check it. What the hell that was? There you go. All right, we're live. All right. Let me get rid of that now. Back to this. Back to that. All right, everybody. Like I said, I missed last week. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry. I had shit to do. Not that this isn't important, but it is. But I wasn't feeling too well, so I decided to take the night off. But I'm back, episode 200 and, I don't know, what's going on in this thing over here? What the hell am I? Let me see, go over the chat. What the fuck? Show. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Oh, get that off. Okay, get that off the screen. Now I see what's going on. Now I got it. Okay. Should be there. Yeah, it's there. Now you can see through the car. I'm just experimenting with the screen for the live stream to see, to see how it works out. The comments, but with that said, I have some articles I'm going to read tonight. And this time, I'm going to take, let me see, should I take the show and stream? I don't know. Let's jump right into it. What's the first article of the evening? Let's see, here we go. All right. Let me bring it over here. I can scroll it. All right, we good. How about this one? 5 rock songs from 1987 that sound even cooler today. I don't know about that. I don't know about all that. But let's see what the article says. The year 1987 was a rich and colorful time for the world of rock music. 87 was pretty interesting. That was the year I went into the Air Force in May, and by December I was in the Philippines. Very interesting year, 1987. Very interesting. Big name bands were finding ways to incorporate electronic layers into their guitar, which they were bass sounds, in order to keep up with the times. That actually was the downfall of some bands. Well, I guess, you know what? The 70s was the same way, when everybody wanted to have a disco hit. The Rolling Stones with Miss You, and Rod Stewart had one. They all wanted to get on the trend. So you had bands like actually Kiss, and I don't know, I can probably name a couple of others if I really tried, but you know what I'm talking about if you were around back then. they tried to change the whole sound to try to be cool and keep up with the young kids. All right. Meanwhile, other acts were reaching back for more foundational take on rock as a unique American art form. Somewhere in the middle grounds found a way to balance old and new and assert their rock status without losing their place in the evolving scene, which is probably the smartest move to do. No matter where your taste fell, the best rock music of 1987 had something for all musical palates. But some songs seemed sealed in a time capsule, sounding even cooler today than they did back then. For a song to attain such a status, it has to carry a strong structure that doesn't give in to trends or fads and lyrics that aren't mired in period slang or filled with dated references, which is a very good point. So far, this article is good. It seems to be written well. Because at this point in time, I am an expert on music articles, and there are some fucking horrendous ones out there. Like they were just thrown together by AI and not proofread or anything. But not in this case. So far, so good. Each tune also needs to rock solidly enough to stir your nervous system even more ferociously now than it did when you first listened. From the funkified groove of In Excess, Devil Inside to the soaring, plaintive strains of Hearts Alone, here are 5 rockers from 1987 that sound cooler than when they dropped all those years ago. Now, the first one on the list is Devil Inside. It's actually a really good song. It's still a good song. It didn't lose anything. It doesn't sound cooler than it did back then because it was a cool song to begin with. When NXS came out with Kick, it was like every song on that album was a hit, it seemed like. So, Devil Inside, I'll go with that. It's still a cool song today. I would probably say that this article could have been named or titled Songs that are still cool today. Not cooler than, but hey, listen. So far, so good. In Excess was an act that set trends rather than following them, which explains why the funk rock fusion of the band's magnificent 1987 album Kick remains such a timeless spin. Drop a needle on any track, see, just like I said, and the same infectious energy that sprang forth the first time you listened to it still crackles through the speakers, and it does. That is one of those timeless albums. In particular, the slinky, energetic Devil Inside sounds like a rock song from the future that has premium footing in the 21st century, even more than it did in the late 80s. So I could understand that. I can see that point. It was a big hit in the 80s, but it was surrounded by a lot of other music in 87. This was a standout song from their album. It did have traction. It did have longevity. But again, when you're in that moment, how many of those songs from 1987 that were in competition with Devil Inside actually stuck around, right? You can go back and listen to it and say, well, that one didn't age well, or that one didn't age well, but this song, so I give the writer of this article credit for pulling this one out. You know what? I'm gonna just fix something. Hold on one second. Let me go into the chat. I don't like the way this looks. Here we go. Let's get that. I don't like the way that looks. All settings, background capacity. There we go. I needed a darker background because you can't see anything once it. All right, good. That looks better. But now I'm kind of faded out. But I'm going to take the chat off of this screen for a minute, showing the stream. And I will be able to see it from my laptop. So where was I with this article? In particular, it's okay. Yeah, so how many of those songs are, have aged well? This one has aged well. I believe so. If you disagree with me, then, maybe that's your thing. But for the most part, how does a nearly 40-year-old song, what the fuck? See, that's the shit. Now I need a shot of iced coffee for this one. Turbo ice, hold on. The fact that that song is fucking 40 years old this next year. Good Lord. It's like it was yesterday being there, being over in the Philippines for those 2 years. It was just unbelievable. Wow, 40 years. Okay. How does a nearly 40-year-old song manage to sound like a new release? A big part of the magic is the skillful arrangement. Yes. With the skeletal structure during the verse, it's great production. The producer really nailed that whole album. With the skeletal structure during the verse that becomes a chugging curtain of unified noise and the chorus arrives. To call it darkness that becomes the chorus via the repeated line, devil inside, every single one of us, devil inside. So when I just said that, when I just read this out loud, right? Devil inside, every single one of us, I know for a fact, I know that once I start reading that, you're in your head, you're singing it. Devil inside. As I read it, that is like taking In the Air Tonight, the Phil Collins song, right? The famous Phil Collins song, and leaving out that your brain automatically plays it. So good songs will do that to you. So when I just say devil inside, every single one of us, at that point, you're singing it in your head. I know you are, because I just did. And I'm just like everybody else, except I have a podcast. Like, I don't know, 20 million other people. But Devil Inside sounds like we're all being given permission to cut loose. Michael Hutchinson, God rest his soul, growling and howling in front of the Ferris Brothers driving rhythmic section is a sweet summation of melodic rock that leaves out the fluffy bits that might make it sound dated. The inimitable singer turned out to be a rock star who hid a tragic secret for years, dying by suicide in 1987. That's a horrible story. That poor bastard. This guy, horrible story. Yeah, that was unnecessary. If you've never seen the story about Michael Hutchinson and what he went through and how it happened to him, and he just couldn't live with it anymore. He basically got sucker punched on a fucking country road in France. Some guy in a car didn't like that him and his girlfriend were riding their bikes in the road. It's fucking France, small street in the country. Dude gets out, says something to him. He's like, whoa, dude. And the dude just blasts him in the face. He falls back, cracks his head. Dude just gets in his car, drove away. They never found out who it was. And Michael Hutchinson's life was never the same. Couldn't taste, couldn't smell, migraines. It was a torturous life he started at that point. But anyway. The fact that he would only be alive for another 10 years makes this evergreen song even more meaningful. Great point. Great way to end that segment. What's the next one? Where the Streets Have No Name. Now, this is interesting. Where the Streets Have No Name. Hold on. Just want to double check something here. Over here. Yeah, let's go over here. Let's check. There we go. Okay. So I listened to this song the other day, and I found myself kind of digging it again. Now, this is a case of hearing a song so many times you don't really want to hear it anymore. And then, after not listening to it for years, you hear it again. And you're like, you know what? It's a fucking pretty good song again. The intro to Where the Streets Have No Names is probably in the top 10 greatest intros of any song in the history of music, whether you like U2 or not. Whether you were a fan one time, now you're not a fan, or you're still a fan, or you were never a fan. You can't deny the intro to this song. This song is a blood-pumping song. And I agree with this one also. It was one of those songs. Devil Inside never really got played over. It never got overplayed. Let's put it that way. Because In Excess was huge, but they weren't U2 huge. And so, of course, Joshua Tree was its own fucking hemisphere in the music world. And this was one of the big 3 songs that came off that album, although they were all good. But my favorite songs off that album ended up being One Tree Hill and Red Hill Mining Town. Like those 2 songs. And I think it's good that those 2 songs don't get enough play. Just like off Achtung Baby, Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses. Doesn't get enough play, and it's one of my favorite songs. It's a great song. So, Where the Streets Have No Name, U2 has been dire and self-important since day one. This writer is doing a great job. But in 1987, the group channeled its energy in a more sunshine-soaked sound for a few minutes with this utterly upbeat piece of celebratory magic from its breakthrough album, The Joshua Tree. Listening again reminds old U2 fans that the music was the reason we fell in love with the band, even if the heavy-handed messages can get grating. See, I just said that, right? This is me and this writer are on definitely the same wavelength. Absolutely. It is a great song after you don't listen to it for a while. There was an time for this song, but I think that's over with me. It's an absolute, go back and listen to it. Just take a step back, okay? Take a deep breath when you listen. Just take a step back and just push all the bullshit out of your head and just put this on with no intention, with no expectation. You already know, but just really, really take this song, play it, and just listen. Just listen to the instruments, the guitar, the drum, the bass. It really is that, like, it can get your blood pumping song. It's a great song, again, to me, and I'm glad I rediscovered it the other day. It's funny that this article came up. I'm glad I rediscovered it the other day, and I will start listening to it again because now I have that newfound respect for this song. Everybody has those songs. Now, I Want to Run, I Want to Hide. Bono sings the song, sings as the song opens. I want to tear down the walls that hold me inside. He aptly captures the mixed feelings of wanting to be free and unseen at the same time, a timeless sensation all generations have encountered. When you tie it to the smartphone generation, who many times seem to be hiding behind the manufactured image, the paradox is even more relatable. And that's true. Did you ever go on YouTube and watch these videos of people getting arrested? They're everywhere, right? On September 23rd, 1987, Jenny was driving home, driving a little, one of those things. Then she ends up getting into it with the cops, right? Or a shoplifting video, right? Where the cops come. These fucking people, and it's turned into adults, they all have their phone in their hand. And they're looking at the phone while the cop's talking to them. Like they're just looking at the phone. They're scrolling. You know what they're doing. The cop knows what they're doing. They're trying to stall and think of something, right? But when they take the phone away from them, they lose their fucking minds. My phone. I need my phone. The addiction is real, people. It's real. And it is widespread through now every generation in this country, in this world that has access to these fucking devices. I'm guilty of it, but I understand it. I understand it. If I didn't have a veteran nonprofit, I could put my phone down for a little while. Can you? You'll all say yes. But for how long? That's the question. But I'm not here to talk about the addiction, the cell phone addiction, which is fucking real. And everything within the cell phone, those added addictions. The TikTok addiction, the 30-second video addiction, the short attention span theater addictions that you know you have, but that's what addiction does to you. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I understand all of it. That's what addiction rationalizes. And addiction said there's nothing wrong with watching 87 30-second videos in a row. There's nothing wrong with that. It's entertaining. It's fucking conditioning. It's conditioning your brain. And there's always a corporation behind that. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, back to the show. Despite genre hopping through the 90s and coming up with some intriguing subject matter, U2 didn't sound this triumphantly upbeat again until Beautiful Day. Great point. Arriving 13 years later, that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Fortunately, Where the Streets Have No Name carried listeners through that experimental years to become a fixture in our all-time playlist. It's the escape anthem you should have rolling when you set off on a grand adventure, no matter where those nameless streets lead you. That's true. That is true. Coffee. Let's see. Learning to Fly, Pink Floyd. Now it's one of those songs that when you hear Learning to Fly, the first thing you think about is Tom Petty, right? But that's not the case, my friends. That's not the case for this. This song, and you might know it, you might not know it, but it is a great Pink Floyd song. Pink Floyd without Roger Waters. Yeah. And it is this song. Yeah. See? Wasn't a huge hit, but it was a hit for them. It gets criticized. That whole album gets criticized sometimes by music critics, but fuck music critics also. Fuck them. Let's see what they have to say. Let's see what this so far so good writer has to say. I think this writer could kind of fail the rest of the way, but I think that I would give this article, just at this point, it's an A. But if they failed every song after this, it's not going to get anything less than a C, which compared to some articles that I've read in the past is a really good mark. Art prog rock pioneers Pink Floyd found commercial success with the 1987 winner Learning to Fly, a mid-tempo crossover success that showed off the band's growth and songwriting maturity. Excuse me. By this time, the group had fallen apart, and the final album, A Momentary Lapse of Reason. I'm going to stop right there. Just think of that name. Just think of that name. Now, when I was I was in federal law enforcement, and I was a union steward, and somebody messed up. Well, somebody was always messing up. That's why you have union stewards. And I was a union steward, and I always pulled this one out. When we had to finally have a meeting with management or the port director, big bosses, or chief, I would just kind of look at them and say, "Sir, this is how I see it. Officer so-and-so had a momentary lapse of reason." It fucking worked every time. It worked. Okay. 97% of the time it worked. Person never been in trouble before. They had a momentary lapse of reason. Now, if I could just gear that toward my kids when they were younger, they probably would have had a much easier time. So let me see. Momentary lapse of reason. And that's a little phrase you can use in a lot of different situations. Was a patchwork put together by guitarist David Gilmour and drummer Nick Mason. Decades after its release, the lead single from the record hasn't lost its sophisticated luster, which it hasn't. The straightforward melody delivers a sweetness. The video is pretty cool, too. It's a very cool video, actually. Straightforward melody delivers a sweetness that pairs nicely with dreamlike lyrics that describe a piloted aircraft taking off while making it sound like a human becoming airborne. It really doesn't matter if you hear it as an airplane or a soul that's taking flight lessons. The underlying message is one of an earthbound misfit becoming overwhelmed by the prospect of flight. A metaphor for overcoming gravity and ascending to heights, the song offers a poetic message of hope for anyone trying to overcome obstacles. It may not have been the Pink Floyd song that topped the Hot 100. It reached number 70. Like I said, it was a hit, but it wasn't a big hit. But it's an eternal chart topper in our personal ranking of songs that make the year feel as if it never ended. I wish that year never ended. That was a great year. It also gives Pink Floyd a bit of sentimental send-off. Sure, it may rock softer than the band did in its earlier days, but it still holds its own after years of hanging on. Alone by Heart. Heart is Heart, right? Heart had already established itself, exactly, as a renewed force in rock music when it dropped the new standard for power ballads in 1987's Alone. This scorcher followed the vein of What About Love, the massive comeback hit that changed the band's fate. It also returned, Heart to its power position of being the pursuer and declaring exactly what it wants, an approach that made earlier hits like Crazy on You so compelling. This time around, rather than wondering if her paramour was interested, the inimitable Ann Wilson took the bull by the horns with the more direct approach to love, wondering quite forcefully how she could get some much-needed one-on-one time. I never really cared until I met you. Wilson confesses having become a bit obsessed, and now it chills me to the bone. How do I get you alone? The fact that Wilson can pull so many syllables out of the word alone is a testament to the emotion her voice summons. Another move that keeps the freshness in this singable selection of letting the piano speak during the more tender verses and giving the guitars big voices for the soaring chorus. I'm not a big fan of this song, by the way. It's a great song, but I'm not a big fan of, I'm not a huge fan of Heart's 80s stuff. We'll just leave it at that. It's an anthemic layout that takes listeners for an emotional roller coaster ride. Alone deserves loud play on a powerful sound system that delivered a bravura performance that feels like the band stepped out of the recording sessions just last week. Okay. I Don't Want to by The Call. Now, before we get any further, I'm going to bring this up. Let me see. Just so you know what this song is. I Don't Wanna. This was 1987. And then The Call. Here we go. Why isn't it playing? Here we go. Let's go one of those intros. I ain't here to listen while you speak. I ain't here to heal your broken soul. I don't know about this one. I mean, I like The Call. Was never a huge Call fan, but I like The Call. They have a handful of good songs, but I don't remember this one from 1987. But hey, listen, this is the writer's preference, so who am I to say? Whoever said rock and roll was just 3 chords and the truth didn't realize a rock band as agile as The Call could do it with just 2 chords and 3 notes. It's the simplicity of the structure and melody in I Don't Wanna that gives the song a timeless presentation and puts a steel backbone in the notion of rock and roll no matter what era it's played in. The fact that this is an upside down take on a love number makes it even more power-packed. The basic guitar, bass, drum, synth setup in this thumper provides a sort of controlled mayhem that never goes out of style. Then there's Michael Bean's lyrical slap in the face, which alerts the subject to this unrequited love, yep, that there will be no coddling, no begging here. Every line in the declaration of what he will not do for love. I ain't gonna watch your every move. I ain't gonna dog your every step. I ain't here to shape your every mood. I ain't here to keep your secrets kept. This is no sappy Hallmark card. I guess he's just there for sex. I guess that's it. I ain't gonna watch your every move. I ain't gonna dog your every step. I ain't here to shape your every mood. I ain't here to keep your secrets kept. I'm here for the sex. That should be the next line. That's it. End of song. Guitar solo. Fade out. That's the song. When Bean finishes up with the line, I ain't gonna pray for your love, for you to love me, because I know you will. That's kind of okay. I know you'll love me. That's what I say to you people every week. I know you'll love me. What first seemed harsh and impenetrable now seems like self-protection. In the end, listeners are left on hopeful upswing. Fired Up Today and the aching sentiment backed by roaring rock quartet is the perfect driving tune for the lovelorn who aren't giving up hope. There you go. There you go. And then there was this article that followed through. So the last two I'm not too keen on. Heart and The Call. I'm not too keen on those, but good article. I'll give it a B at the end. This one just happens to be attached to it, so I'm going to run with this. 70s rock icons that tarnished their own legacy. Well, let's see what we have here. The trajectory of rock music is such that it all pretty much peaked in the 70s. Our most iconic rock stars, both solo performers and significant contributors to bands, come of age creatively and professionally in that decade. Came of age. From folk rock to hard rock to blues rock to new wave, rock music arguably reached its apex in this, the age of the rock star. However, some important figures of the 70s rock are more fondly remembered than others. Over time, certain details about those rock stars' behavior and activities emerged, and it cast a pall on all the great work they generated. And the picture they have for the listeners, not the viewers, is a picture of Pete Townsend on stage. Now, if you know, you know. If you know, you know about Pete Townsend. What he was accused of and what he eventually beat. He beat the charge. I can't say, it's just say the charge was what you might, and I can't say that name because the fucking algorithm for YouTube and Facebook, you can't say certain names. So I'll just say the guy whose name begins with E and ends in Steen. Pete Townsend, not connected to him, but swimming in the same pool, if you know what I mean. Let's see if that comes up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I know that was a thing. As it stands now in the 21st century, some of those instrumental rock stars, all of them members of the controversial Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is right, did things that permanently marred their public record and damaged their reputations. Here are the biggest 70s rock stars who did such terrible things that the world thought twice about them. David Crosby. Fucking asshole, number one. This dude was just a fucking asshole. He was an arrogant, cocky asshole. I don't care what you say about him. No, he had great music. He was a fucking asshole. That's all there is to that. Fucking arrogant, cocky bastard who had no right to be other than because he was a talented musician and singer. But the dude's uglier than a bag of skunk assholes, number one. So there's that. But he was David Crosby, man. He was even an asshole before he died to his fucking the rest of the Stills and Nash. Formerly a member of the Byrds, David Crosby spent the 70s with Crosby, Still, and Nash, and sometimes Young. The preeminent acoustic act of the decade. Crosby's and his bandmates' music extolled progressive virtues and the value of peace and love, but in his personal life, Crosby was arrested more than once for drug and gun-related crimes. What? A hypocrite? Oh, here we go. Big Head Todd, the wet sprocket, is here. Great. I'm here entertaining. You're late by 35 minutes, asshole. Hey, what did I miss? Go fucking re-listen to it. That's it. Big Head Todd, the wet sprocket. You know what time I come on. Don't fucking play stupid with me. Well, you don't have to play, really. Just saying. Anyway, back to the show. While on his way to an anti-nuclear protest in California in March 1982, Crosby crashed his vehicle into a freeway divider. After authorities removed him from the automobile, they determined that Crosby was high on cocaine. Okay, it was 82. So was I. Just saying. It's 1982. Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna give him a pass on that. Giving him a pass. That was yeah. Anyway, moving on. Finding cocaine in Crosby's loaded gun. Now that's a problem. Police arrested the musician for illegally carrying a concealed weapon while high on cocaine. Number one, that's not a good combination. Driving under the influence of cocaine because he's on cocaine. Drug possession. Cocaine, and drug paraphernalia possession. Probably a metal straw. And a mirror with cocaine on it. I don't think that ruins his reputation. That's fucking rock and roll, if you ask me. He's still a fucking dick, or was. But a plea deal reduced the slate to a count of reckless driving, and Crosby was sentenced to probation. But he would be sentenced to prison for another series of crimes that occurred 3 weeks after the car accident, April 19th, because he was on cocaine. What was it that Rick James once said? Cocaine's a hell of a drug. I agree. In April 1982, Crosby was arrested at a Dallas concert venue due to the presence of cocaine and another loaded handgun in his dressing room. Crosby started serving a 5-year term in March 1986, but was sprung after 5 months. This does not tarnish a rock and rollers. He didn't shoot anybody like fucking Alec Baldwin did. He didn't shoot anybody. He just like cocaine and loaded guns. Bad combination. I don't suggest that. I in no way endorse that. There he is. Light Fingers Perry Dedovich, the AI. Rich kid from rich family. Surprise, surprise. You're absolutely right, my friend. I'm glad to see you come on, Perry. Big Head Todd, not so much. Just saying. As I talk to my audience. That's rock and roll. I don't think anybody, it's the fact that he was just a dick. And you know what tarnishes his fucking reputation worse than I think any of this is the fact that the motherfucker got a fucking, what did he have, a kidney? Someone donated a kidney to him because he was fucking drinking himself to death. And the motherfucker kept drinking. Yeah. So that's the fucking asshole. That's the dick. Somebody else could have got that and probably deserved it more than the rich guy. Elvis Costello. Elvis Costello, when he was younger, was a fucking handful. He was definitely a handful. As he got older, he mellowed out, and his music mellowed out, and he's a great performer. I'd never seen him, but great music. If you listen to his greatest hits album is one of those albums like, oh shit, oh I forgot about this, oh I forgot about that. His greatest hits album is fucking phenomenal. It's right up there, maybe in the top 10 or 15 of, I think, greatest hits albums. It just runs the gamut on the type of music, too. He goes from Pump It Up to Allison. Allison. Like, you can, if you have that range, you're a talented motherfucker. He pulled the infamous bait and switch on Saturday Night Live, where they didn't want him to play the song Radio because it was disparaging to the media, to TV and radio media. It was disparaging, and he said, fuck you. He was totally punk. In the late 70s, Elvis Costello was a sensation in the UK and the US with albums My Aim Is True and This Year's Model. Lumped in with both the post-punk, anti-establishment, angry young men, as well as new wave, Costello would later gel as a more of a cult favorite and icon to the more niche-like alternative rock circuit. However, any aspirations of mainstream mega fame were ultimately dashed after a couple of utterances of hate speech. In 1979, Costello's Armed Funk Tour landed in Columbus, Ohio. I remember this. Where the musician and his band hung out in a hotel bar with folk rock icon Stephen Stills and his entourage. As the alcohol flowed, the conversation got more intense, and Costello stated his general distaste for American music. Then he decided to, and he's talking to Stephen Stills about this, so it's kind of interesting. Costello stated in general distaste for music. Then he decided to use an ugly racial slur to dismiss the work of two foundational figures of American music, Ray Charles and James Brown. Singer Bonnie Bramlett struck Costello, leading to a brief two-band brawl. I can see that. Yeah, the fingernails were scratching in those fights. Yeah, a lot of. I think the testosterone level for all of them put together was probably 60, 50. Let's see. Leading to a brawl. Then Bramlett told reporters about Costello's use of the N-word. Fucking snitch. A fucking rat. Just a fucking rat. And that dude's nobody. Bonnie Bramlett. Nobody. Forcing the latter to hold a press conference to explain what had happened and to deny being a racist. Now remember, this is back in 79. Not like today, the word racist is like saying vanilla. It's just there. Allie Smith, that's right, Allison. How you doing, Allie? Glad to see you come into the chat. So, is that Jimmy Page? Well, I don't know. I think Jimmy Page is untouchable. I think certain people get to a point they're untouchable. I really do. I think that they're always going to be legends, no matter what. And I think the Jimmy Page thing has to do with that the young girl thing. I don't know. Regarded as one of the finest British blues-inspired hard rock guitarists, Jimmy Page became positively worshipped in the 70s with Led Zeppelin, and still is today. As the lead guitarist of the band, Page played a major role in forging its sound. He stole the sound, but okay, he did it his way. And his distinctive shredding can be heard on rock standards like Whole Lotta Love and Stairway to Heaven, both of which he'd later be accused of stealing. Well, there you go. In 1985, blues musician Willie Dixon sued Led Zeppelin for stealing chunks of You Need Love, for, song he wrote for Muddy Waters and well-known throughout the 60s blues rock scene, to use for Whole Lotta Love. The case was quickly settled out of court, and Page and the singer Robert Plant went back and forth in the media, blaming each other for the heist. In 1968, the band Spirit, blah, 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 Taurus, Stairway to Heaven, went to court. If you listen to Taurus, if you listen to the song, it's fucking Stairway to Heaven sounds just like it. And they won, fucking Led Zeppelin won in court. I'm just going to... The estate of Spirit member Randy Wolf filed a copyright infringement in 2014, which was dismissed in 2016, but retired upon appeal. It was dismissed, but retired upon appeal. Page, along with Led Zeppelin, was cleared of the intellectual theft of 2020. What you have here is a big win for multi-billion-dollar industry against the creatives. He's right. Spirit's lawyer, Franz Malfus, who told Rolling Stone, they're the greatest art thieves of all time, and they got away with it again today. They did, absolutely. Steven Tyler, scumbag. Fucking scumbag. Undoubtedly one of the most, I don't care if I'm from Boston, he's Aerosmith. I like Aerosmith's music. Doesn't mean I have to like this fucking guy. Undoubtedly one of the famous rock stars of all time, Steven Tyler emerged with the rest of Aerosmith out of Boston area in the early 1970s. The decade's end, the band was huge, blending blues with simple rock hooks and playing arenas around the world. During much of that time, it would later emerge that Aerosmith's highly recognizable frontman was allegedly touring with an underage girl whom he adopted for the sole purpose of committing illegal acts. And if you don't believe me and you don't believe this article, go read his book. Because he says right in his book, he talks about this and he brags about it. He bragged about it. Or was it? It was an article also. In 2022, Julia Misley filed a suit, and see how this thing disappeared? I wonder why. Julia Misley filed a suit against Tyler, publicly claiming she was coerced into a lengthy relationship with the Aerosmith singer in the 70s. Misley reported that she met Tyler at a concert in 73 when he was 25 and she was 16. After which they met, they went to a hotel room where she was assaulted for the first of several times. In 1974, after flying Misley to various Aerosmith concerts for a few months, Tyler filed paperwork to become Misley's legal guardian so he could keep her nearby. Misley also alleged that Tyler gave her lots of drugs and alcohol, continuously assaulted her, and forced her to end a pregnancy. Parts of the lawsuit were dismissed in 2024. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAINN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE. That's 1-800-656-4673. Pete Townsend, there we go. In 2023, the FBI led intentional international sting operations or led the arrest. What is the fuck? In 2003, the FBI led international sting operation, ORE, led to the arrest of 1,600 people in the UK on charges of possessing obscene media depicting children. Among them was Pete Townsend. Pete was very rich at that time, still is, even richer than he was back then. The Who's lead guitarist, as well as primary songwriter, who composed everything from concept albums like Quadrophenia, experimental works like Baba O'Reilly, and crowd-pleasing hits like Won't Get Fooled Again. This legal incident brought notoriety to Townsend's name, which he'd struggled to shed as details of the case came into focus. Let's see. Big Head Todd the Wet Sprocket. I thought you weren't talking about Led Zeppelin. I'm not saying I'm not talking about Led Zeppelin. I'm not doing them in which song do you like better? That's what I'm doing. Get with it, will you? Add Bowie to the list of not talking about again. Okay. My Phantom, Love and Positivity. That's right. That's right. Townsend sort of admitted to the crimes of which he was accused, but with a caveat. In 1999, the musician told authorities that he'd used a credit card to pay to view a website that housed the illegal and profane materials, believing that seeing the imagery, here we go, this is why you pay big money lawyers, believing that seeing the imagery would bring up memories of similar abuse he'd suffered as a child and repressed. Now, I'm not an expert on this topic, by no means, and I don't want to get into this topic. But right there, that's some bullshit. Just saying. Following an investigation during which Townsend said he hadn't actually looked at any of the photos, because his lawyer basically said, you can't prove that he looked at them. All you have is a credit card that paid to get on the site. Can't prove he looked at it because back then they couldn't do all this forensic with fucking computers. The charges were dropped, although the guitarist was placed on a national sex offender registry for 5 years. If you or someone you know may be the victim of child abuse, please contact the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4A-CHILD. That's 1-800-422-4453, or contact their live chat services. That's Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline. Core members, Bill Wyman. Let's jump to him because I'm getting ready to wrap this up. I actually have something I want to talk about. I'm going to do Bill Wyman, and I think that's it. John Fogerty. This is a long one. Who else is there? All right. I don't care about John Fogerty. Bill Wyman's an interesting story. Joining up with the band in 1962, bassist Bill Wyman from the Rolling Stones, played with the Rolling Stones for about 3 decades through its entire storied era as the world's greatest rock and roll band. Wyman provided the bubbling low-end counterpoint to Mick Jagger's vocals and Keith Richards' guitar licks. Apart from a couple of solo albums, hold on, Pete, yeah. Lightfingers, Perry Dedovich, the AI, says Pete's song "Rough Boys." I think that's more of a gay. This is just the gist of the song is a gay older man looking for a younger guy in like a pool hall. You know, these leather boys or whatever they're called. That's basically what Rough Boys is about. Now they don't really it doesn't touch on an age. You know, but the song is still a good song. I'm just saying. It is a good song. Let me see. Blah, blah, blah. Apart from a couple of solo albums, Wyman was content to leave the headline grabbing to his cohort until he brought on the biggest scandal in the history of a band known for its scandalous behavior. In 1984, Daily Mirror British Rock Awards, Wyman spotted 2 young women in the crowd. I saw 2 stunning girls leaving the dance floor and my heart jumped. Wyman wrote in his autobiography, Stone Alone. The musician met them and found out that the one who'd especially caught his fancy was named Mandy Smith, and she was 13 years old. That's an intentional silence. Let's read that again. Wyman wrote in his autobiography, Stone Alone. The musician met them and found out that the one who'd, quote, especially caught his fancy was named Mandy Smith, and she was 13 years old. This is intentional. There's no mistake there. It's not like she was 17. I thought she was 18, which is still a little weird for a guy his age, but hey, it happens. Yo. Fucking creep factor 10 on this one. Creep factor 10. This guy makes Pete Townsend look like a fucking angel. Neither one of them are any good, but within a few weeks, they were a couple. I don't even know if I want to I feel dirty just reading this thing. That's no lie. I'll finish it because I'm a professional, but the relationship became physical within a year. Wyman took things public when Smith was 16 and he was about 50. What the fuck? They married in 89, filed for divorce in 91, and Wyman left the Rolling Stones in 92 because it all came out. And that girl, listen, it doesn't matter how much she got. And once again, if you or someone you know may be the victim of child abuse, please contact the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4A-CHILD or 1-800-422-4453 or contact their live chat services. I'm done with that. That just makes me feel dirty. One got worse than the next. I'll back up on the screen. All right, I got 5 minutes left. I want to go over this. One. Delete. Let me go over here. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. This is a good one. This is a good way to end the show. let me see. Add scene, media, screen. Here we go. This week we lost Robert Duvall. Yeah. Great fucking actor. Great. Never, you know what? Fucking Robert Duvall did it right. Never ran his fucking mouth about politics. Was always, like Clint Eastwood, fucking steady. Just steady. Do your job like Brad Pitt. Do your job. Do it well. And keep your fucking mouth shut because nobody cares. They just don't make them like this anymore. And they never will. They never will. But we were fortunate enough as baby boomers and you know, beyond to witness Robert Duvall's superior acting skills and always the consummate gentleman and during interviews and everything. The dude was just fucking smooth as brand new ice. Really was. So let's see. This is called Robert Duvall. This article is Robert Duvall's 10 best movies ranked. Let's see. Robert Duvall, one of the all-time great actors in Hollywood history, died this week at the age of 95. God bless him, man. We want to reflect on his legendary career. Yep, so Steve Stevens says, Charlie Don't Surf. Charlie Don't Surf is a great line, but we'll get to this. One, maybe, arguably, one of, in the top 5, could actually maybe move into the top 3 greatest lines in movie history. I think you could say, make him an offer he can't refuse. Might be the greatest line in the history of movies. But the Robert Duvall line, I love the smell of napalm in the morning, is hands down in the top 3 greatest lines in movie history. Prove me wrong. How many times as a boomer or a Gen Xer, which there's a lot of us, did you say that line in whatever scenario you might have been in life? I love the smell of napalm in the morning. And then it smells like victory. But that was actually cut short when you hear that. He goes into the description. That gasoline smell. He gets into, that's the part that's left out. But I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like, and that hesitation. That fucking hesitation right before he says the word. Smells like, and you can see him. He's squatting down. He's got the dirt in his hand, and he's just looking around. Victory. Fucking, I got goosebumps. I gave myself goosebumps for that because it is so, it's the fucking legendary, iconic line in movie history. Steve Stevens says, I stand corrected, and I agree. Yes. But Charlie Don't Surf is a good one. Even The Clash said that. Let me see. Lightfingers, Perry Dedovich, the AI. I watched Tender Mercies yesterday. There you go. So here we go. Let's get right in. Nominated for 7 Acting Academy Awards and the winner of 1 Oscar, which is a fucking travesty in itself, but okay. Duvall is widely considered one of Hollywood's best. His versatility knew few equals with a body of work including dramas, comedies, thrillers, westerns, romances, and you name it. He could go big and chew scenery with co-stars like Al Pacino or Marlon Brando, or he could tone it down with the remarkable subtlety, or even go toe-to-toe with comic legends like Will Ferrell. Duvall could do it all, and he will be missed by millions who loved his work, but his work is always there. And you know what? When Robert De Niro goes, there's going to be a lot of people that don't care. He fucked up his legacy. That dude, whether I don't care if you agree with him or you don't agree with him. Robert De Niro fucked his legacy right in the ass by fucking running this cocksucker. Sorry, I'm being vulgar, but he should have just, because De Niro had the top spot. But he will never now, to a whole generation or two generations, live down those fucking unhinged rants he would go on. He killed his own legacy. Duvall never said a fucking word. Clint Eastwood never says a word. These guys go out on top. They will stay on top. Duvall could do it all. He would be missed by millions who loved his work. Here's their top 10. To Kill a Mockingbird, 1962. Legendary. Kicking and Screaming is number 9 at 2000, and from 2005. That was with Will Ferrell. A Civil Action in 1998 with John Travolta. Network, 1976. That's a classic movie in itself. But yep, one of the most gifted and dependable actors of any era. Duvall dominated the 70s, and he found his name in the credits, blah, blah, blah. What's number 6? The Great Santini. I watched that recently. That's a fucking heavy movie, man. That is a very, very heavy movie. If you've never watched it, from 1979, if you've never seen The Great Santini, that is, he's in the military and it's his family. And, when you're in that world, I knew guys like that. I was in for 10 years. I knew guys like him. And it's a heavy movie. The Great Santini from 1979. Godfather Part 2, 1974. Tom Hagen, right? He didn't do Godfather 3. Thank God he didn't do it. Thank God he didn't do it, because that was a fucking horrible movie. But they wouldn't pay him. They're like, no, we're not going to pay you to do it. He's like, fuck, I'm fucking Tom Hagen, bitch. It's only one. Nope. And thank God. I'm sure he saw that movie and was like, yeah, I dodged a bullet there. Let me see. Number 4, Apocalypse Now. Yep. Here it is. Okay. Duvall earned his second Oscar nomination here, playing Lieutenant Colonel William Bill Kilgore, another feather in the actor's cap of hyper-competitive strongmen. He was the alpha male. That motherfucker was the alpha all the time. This time on an actual battlefield. But when the stakes couldn't get any higher during a helicopter raid in Vietnam, the avid surfer famously says, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. There's the line right there, right? Before he hits the waves of the freshly conquered beach, Francis Ford Coppola's grim odyssey into the war-torn hell gets weird fast, with Duvall adding unexpected levity to the bizarre character. Absolutely. Number 3, The Godfather. I don't have to talk about that. If you've never seen The Godfather, you are not fucking American and you are an alien from another fucking world. That's all I got to say about that. 1 and 2 go together, so you got to see them both. If you only seen one, you are not fucking American and you're an alien from another fucking galaxy. Number 2, Tender Mercies. There you go. Light Fingers, Perry Dedovich, the AI, right? And my computer just died, so there's that. Almost in time. And number 1, The Apostle. That was a great movie. That was a great movie. So there we go. There we go. That's it. What am I up on? Hour and 4 minutes. All right, right in time. Right on time. Let's get rid of this article. And there we go. Good show. Good show. Fast. Always goes fast reading these articles. Well, listen, that's it, guys. I will not be here next week. I will be on a cruise. Yeah, baby. On a cruise somewhere in the Caribbean. So, you will not have me next week. But as tonight, did I not entertain you? Do I not entertain you? I don't ever know. Is it did I not entertain you? Do I not? Do I not? Do I not entertain you? Right? So, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you liked it, share it. If you didn't like it, well, thanks for watching and listening for an hour and 5 minutes. Or in Big Head Todd DeWitt Sprocket's case, 37 minutes. Fucking kind of fan of you. Anyway, yeah, that's it. And as I always say, I'm doing this show for you, to quote my favorite artist, Morrissey, the pleasure, the privilege, is mine. And I'll see you